Every year in Ontario, thousands of turtles are killed by vehicles on roads and highways. Already 7 out of the 8 species of turtles that occur here are considered species at risk. Road mortalities are posing a serious threat to the ecology and biodiversity of turtles in Ontario. But wherever you find animals whose survival as a species is threatened, you'll often find people who choose to do something about it. This is the story of the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre. The Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre is a one-of-a-kind non-profit organization that specializes in rehabilitating injured native Ontario turtles. They campaign through a vibrant outreach program to promote awareness for turtle conservation in Ontario. And they collect vital biological data so that we can learn more about what we need to do to make Ontario a safer place for turtles.
My name is Pierre Desjardins. I've been given a unique opportunity to profile the tremendous work carried out by the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre. I'm here in Peterborough, Ontario at their turtle hospital to see how they rehabilitate turtles that have been hit by vehicles on roads and highways. I'm also here to talk to their executive and medical director, Dr. Sue Carstairs, so that I can learn more about what we can all do to preserve and to protect these incredible animals. So let's check it out. First off, thank you so much, Dr. Carstairs, for having me here today to see some of this amazing work you do for turtles in Ontario.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Tell me a bit about how the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre got started and how you became involved.
It started about 12 years ago, and it sort of illustrates how just a few people can make a huge impact. It started as a result of a group of school children involved with an organization called Kids for Turtles. They became concerned about the road problems that they were seeing and the turtle injuries, so they lobbied for turtle crossing signs. They did that successfully. And one of them had a mother who was a veterinarian. She, along with a group of other people, formed officially the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre because of the tremendous need for it. Got big very fast. So I joined, this is my 5th summer, and now I coordinate the centre here.
So you've been a wildlife vet for the past 20 years. You're on the front lines of turtle conservation in Ontario. Why did you choose to work with turtles in particular?
Yeah, I've been a wildlife vet for some time, and I was looking for a project that really combined veterinary medicine and conservation. And this fell in my lap, and it was just exactly what I was looking for. Perfect, something you could get your teeth into and really make a difference.
So I'm looking around and there's turtles everywhere here. You must have had a very busy year. How many turtles did you take in this year so far?
We've taken in almost 320 so far, adult. A lot of these were females that were about to lay eggs. That's why they were on the roads. So we've harvested the eggs and we're now hatching the eggs. And I've lost count of how many we've hatched so far, but we have over 1,000 incubating.
Wow, that's incredible. You put these eggs in vermiculites, in Tupperwares, and how long does it take for them to hatch from that point?
So they're in vermiculite, a moistened vermiculite in a Tupperware container set at a set temperature and humidity. And it takes approximately, it depends on the temperature and the species, about 2 months.
And then once they're hatched, you keep them for a bit longer just to kind of give them that head start before releasing them in the wild?
Yes, depending on the space and the species. We either immediately release them or we keep them over the winter.
And do you choose the species whether they're more in danger, they're more vulnerable in the wild? How do you choose which species you're going to keep?
We try and keep all the blandings, turtles, because they're the most rare. And also they're quite easy to rear together. And snapping turtles are a little more finicky because they're harder to keep in a group healthy. But they're nice because you can get them to a nice big size.
Okay.
So.
I understand that one of the most common injuries you see here are turtles that have been run over by vehicles on roads and highways. Why is it that this incidence occurs so much, and why does it have such a devastating impact on local turtle populations?
Well, it happens so much because we've put roads where they are programmed to go. They've been going that route, that's where they're going to go. They're not going to turn around just because there's a road there. And in southern Ontario, you can't go more than 1.5 kilometers without running into a road. And they're slow, and cars are large, so most people don't deliberately hit them, but they can be hard to see on the road, with slow movings, and so they're really prone to injury and death. And the reason it's so impactful on the population, again, is because most of them are adults moving about. We see a lot of males too, but a lot of females in June, they're moving about to find their nesting site. So these adults are really, they're impossible to replace in the population. They take a long time to mature, often up to 20 years. So if you lose them, it's going to take decades to replace them if you ever can. It's very unlikely you're going to replace them in the population soon enough to recover the population.
Right, so they have a very high mortality rate when they're younger, low mortality rate when they're older.
Exactly.
And it's difficult to replace them when these adults are getting hit by cars so often.
That's right, yes.
Okay. Can we see a few of the cases that you've been working on recently?
Sure, yeah. This is a really good case to illustrate, a lot of different things. Cooperation, for one thing, amongst different centers and veterinarians, and also how to fix a shell. So as you can see, she's a female, Blandings, and she had a crack there that was right into the body cavity, so huge. And so of course she was very, very ill from that. She was actually from a site north of Barrie. We're in Peterborough, that's far, so we needed her to get instant care. So we worked with a veterinarian there. He was able to stabilize the fracture, give her fluids, give her pain medication, just do the initial, she bandaged it up, and then we were able to get a volunteer to pick up, to bring to us, where we did the final fixation, which involved wiring. So that's wired right through the shell, and then this stabilizes this part. So this was in May, and she'll be here all winter. And so they get some R&R over the winter and released in the spring.
Great. It's a beautiful animal.
Yeah, they're lovely. But this illustrates a typical lesion that a snapping turtle would have. They tend to get really deep scraping on the top as a car straddles them or tries to avoid them. She's been with us for probably 2 months already. It's starting to scar in and heal, but it's still, as you can see, it's being dressed every day. This is just a covering over top to keep it clean and to keep the wound dressing on it. And she's in shallow water right now. So that'll take all winter to heal. You can see at the edges it's just starting to heal. This is a painted turtle, and it's a female.
Okay.
And she came in about 12 weeks ago. And what we're going to do today, she's one of the lucky ones who can get released this season. So we're going to just take out the wires that she's got, and then she can be released. So the wires they're in the shell.
Oh yeah, I see that.
So it's like a suture in the shell. It's orthopedic wire that's under anesthetic drilled into the shell and made like a suture. So we're just going to remove that. All 3 wires. So now it's secure. I'm going to let that one just fall off on its own. So now she's ready to go.
Awesome. Public awareness is integral to any wildlife conservation efforts. What are some of the things that you do here at the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre to promote public awareness for turtle conservation in Ontario?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Education is so important, telling people how they can help and also how they can lobby for change. And we have quite a large education and outreach program. We target all audiences from little kids to cottagers. So we catered the talk to the level, of course, and we
Right.
try and tell them about the species, what's in Ontario, why they're threatened, all the threats to them, and what people can do to help. So we've reached, I think last year we reached about 12,000 people, and we're continuing to do that this year, and we're moving to a new centre fairly shortly that'll have a whole education program, a whole education department. There'll be some public access to be able to see what we're doing with the hatchlings and with the surgery and so
So
forth.
people can actually see what's going on now.
We do have strict guidelines through the Ministry of Natural Resources
Right.
on what is allowable, and because we'll have some, windows, glass windows outside, and video cameras, people will be able to see exactly what we do.
An important part of your mandate here is to collect biological information about turtles to share with other conservation efforts. I wanted to talk in particular about the blandings tracking program that you have underway right now. What does this program consist of, and how does it help turtles in Ontario?
But it's a very exciting program, and we got it off the ground last year. It combines road mortality surveys, which are very essential for knowing where to implement eco-passages. It combines population surveys in a previously unsurveyed area of blandings, and it also includes the tracking of our head-started blandings. And this is just to see what are they doing in the wild, are they surviving, how are they behaving. There's not a whole lot known about the habits of juvenile blandings because they're so secretive. The transmitters are actually just epoxied onto the shell. It's a painless procedure, and they can't be more than 5% of the body weight. So they're very light, doesn't interfere with their mobility at all. They're put in a position they're not going to get snagged on anything. So they don't impede with them. We're very lucky working with turtles that we don't have to do anything invasive. We're trying to see, first of all, are we doing the right thing by head starting and releasing them? Are they surviving? We have a control group of wild ones that we're following too. Are they surviving? Are they hanging out where they're supposed to be? Are they eating what they're supposed to be? Are they hibernating where they're supposed to be? And also, what are they doing within that? And then if we're finding that we're losing quite a few, why are we losing them? How can we improve our methods so that we don't lose them? Do we need to get them bigger? Do we need to put them in different places? Do we need to change? So it's something that we need to do what we're doing properly.
You've mentioned eco-passages. What are eco-passages? How do they help turtles in Ontario?
Eco-passages are just a way for any animal, be it turtle or otherwise, to get across the road without crossing the road.
Okay.
So it may be a passage over the road for the larger species, or it might be a passage under the road. In the case of turtles, what they generally use is existing culverts under the road, and they have what's called exclusion fencing, which will sort of channel the turtle into the culvert. They're doing some very good work right now to establish, first of all, are they going to use the culverts? What kind of culverts work the best? What kind of fencing use is the best, and where to put them? So far the studies have been very positive, and we're fortunate that our data can help with that as well.
Suppose I'm driving down a road and I see a snapping turtle. I understand the consequences of this turtle being hit by a vehicle, and I want to help it cross the road. Can you show me how I would safely pick up a snapping turtle and move it across the road?
For sure.
Okay, excellent. Let's do this. We're going to do a demonstration on how to pick up snapping turtles off the road. So I understand that it's very important to keep your body behind the turtle, and she seems to be turning on me as we speak, so I don't know if she likes me or if she wants to snap at me.
Paddy's actually very friendly. Paddy is not releasable. He was raised by a family for 28 years.
Okay.
We don't have an origin of where he came from, so we can't release him. So he lives with us. But he's very friendly, as you can see. I wouldn't put my finger in his mouth, mind you, but he's not going to attack you. But if he was a wild turtle on the road, you would want to stabilize the tail with your right hand. You're not going to pick him up by the tail. You just so you can sort of keep him still, and then come under with your left hand, just like a tray of drinks, and then carry him across, always in the direction that they're going. Usually they'll be pretty quiet. Sometimes they can pop a little bit, they can snap, but they can't reach you if you have your hand underneath here like that.
Okay.
I understand that picking them up by the tail can have some
Yes, that's
cause some injuries on the spine.
absolutely. You'd never pick them up by the tail, but it sometimes helps just to keep them still, to have a little bit of your hand there. For other species, they're a lot easier to pick up, and for the bigger snapping turtles, that you have to be pretty strong to pick them up.
Right.
This is probably the safest for him, and it's safe for you too. You can see that he's used to people. He's pretty mellow. He's looking at the camera and Scooby-Doo. Ah, well done. There you go. So that's easy, and they can't scratch you, and they can't bite you like that.
Yeah.
So, and if you're approaching a wild one on the road, if you take too long to do that, yes, they'll turn towards you because they're thinking that you're going to eat them. So you just have to come confidently from behind.
Yeah.
But if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. Just call us for advice.
Do these animals, in fact, have enough jaw power to bite off a toe or a finger or something like that?
Very unlikely. You don't want to get bitten by them, don't get me wrong. They're going to do a nasty bite, but in the water, they would much rather swim away. Much rather. They're not going to get into a conflict unless they're cornered. The only reason they're aggressive on land is because, as you can see, their lower shell is very small, their plastron, so they can't hide. And they're certainly not built for speed. They can't run away, so their only defense is aggression. So on land, yes, they will bite you if you try and touch their head or whatever. In water, they'd always rather swim away.
So people don't need to be afraid of these animals when they're swimming if they see them at the cottage in the water?
No, the only time that they'll be aggressive is if they feel they have no choice.
What are some of the ways that people watching this can get involved with the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre and turtle conservation in Ontario?
Oh, so many ways you can get involved, and on any level, even if you have any time at all. We have volunteers that might volunteer to pick up a turtle from Bracebridge. So we put the call out to our turtle volunteers. We don't have a taxi service per se, but we have a lot of volunteers who donate time, and when they're able, they'll relay turtles to us. So that's one way. Our husbandry, feeding and cleaning program is entirely volunteer run, so without them, they wouldn't have the great husbandry that they do. We need volunteers for our outreach programs to help set up and to deliver presentations. We need volunteer grant writers. So there's all different ways to get involved. And you don't have to spend a lot of time. It can be, put your name on the list, and if you're able, you can pick up a turtle or drop one off. And if you're busy, you don't have to. So tons of different ways to get involved. And then individually, just being, spreading the word, spreading awareness of what to look for, how to avoid hitting turtles on the road, how to, if you have a cottage, keeping your shoreline natural, that sort of thing. People who fish, how to responsibly fish and retrieve your line and don't leave hooks in the water and that sort of thing. All makes a huge difference.
Before I go, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to impart us with regards to wildlife conservation?
I guess the main thing is that some people feel that what difference does it do if I do something? I'm just one person. But if everyone thought that way, nothing would get done. If everyone does something, it makes a huge impact, so everyone can do their part.
Everybody can do something. Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me here today. I really appreciate this opportunity to see the amazing work you do here for turtles.
Pleasure.
Thank you. That was an incredible experience. I'm so inspired by how a small group of dedicated volunteers can have such a big impact on the ecology of turtles in Ontario. And that's the message to take away from this piece, is that everybody can do something. When it comes to wildlife and conservation, even just becoming aware of what's going on around us can have a significant impact on the future survival of these animals. If we can at least be inspired by the kind of passion demonstrated here at the Kawartha Turtle Trauma Centre for Wildlife and Conservation, then there can always be hope for the animals we share the planet with. My name is Pierre Desjardins. Thank you for watching.